Basketball Championship presented by the Weston. Today's second semifinal match will feature the 6th seed.
It's that moment again, the one you dream of every night. La seule chose qui te préoccupe, c'est la gloire. Le cheminement de la réussite, of pushing yourself further than ever before. But the true glory is in the shadows. Les sacrifices que tu fais, quand toutes les chances sont contre toi. When you can't push one more second, chase the glory. Visez haut.
This land has been traditional region's for homeland for the native people of Alberta, the Inuit, and the ancestral territory of the Cree, Dene, Blackfoot, Saulteaux, and Dakota Sioux people since time immemorial. The recognition of our history on this land is an act of reconciliation, and we honor those who walk with us. Thank you, Kinenastum Now.
At this time, we'd ask that you please rise if you are able, remove your caps, and join Lonnie Mickle in the singing of our national anthem.
Welcome inside the Laval Community Sports Center. It is semifinal Saturday of the U Sports Women's Basketball Final 8. Semifinal number 2 as the Carleton Ravens take on the Queens Gales. My name is Mark Majot. Please be joined alongside Kira Lyons, head coach of the Natives Women's Basketball team, former Saskatchewan Husky, as well as Doug McLean. And Doug, I will start with you. Carleton and Queens, these two teams are very familiar with one another.
Yeah, I mean, not only did they meet up in the most recent OUA final, they met up in last year's national championship final. It has been largely on the side of Carleton. Can Queens turn those tables tonight? That's what we'll find out in a couple hours.
And Kira, these two teams are so evenly matched. We could do a deep dive in all the stats, but I really think once this game gets going, we're going to see a real heavyweight fight between these two teams.
Yeah, I feel like when you've played against each other that much and you're so familiar, it just becomes a bit of a dogfight. And I will say, because it's been so heavily favored on the Carleton side, it does get really difficult to continue to beat the same team over and over. As cliche as it sounds, you do learn more from a loss than you do from a win, and to consistently beat a really good team, a top 4 team in the country, that many times in a row, it's really difficult. So I think that almost shades in the favor of Queens a little bit if I had to throw it one way.
Carleton defeated Fraser Valley in the quarterfinals by a score of 75-58. A terrific game from their guards. Let's look at the starting 5. For the Carleton Ravens, it will be Callie Pokranick, Tatiana Burke, Dorcas Buisa, Kayana J. Poulin, and Jacqueline Urban. Kira, what is the key to victory for the Ravens tonight?
I mean, they're such a high percentage shooting team and such a good rebounding team as well. Like, you take a look at their lineup out there, they're so long and athletic. I think they just need to continue doing what's working, be aggressive, be a bit of that punch-first team. And yeah, stay in their game. Obviously, what they've been doing has been working, and this matchup has played in their favor. But they can't get complacent because of that either. This is a super important game, and just because they're super familiar doesn't mean that they can come out here and take this lightly at all.
Bit of a delayed start to this one. We'll quickly get to the starting five for Queens. Isabel Gaudette, Emma Welts, Laura Donovan, Julia Chadwick, Bridget Mulholland. Doug, what is the key to victory for the Queens side?
Move the basketball. Carleton, the team that will absolutely smother you defensively. Fraser Valley learned that firsthand the other day. Queens, a team that they love to make that extra pass, just patience, trying to find that a better shot. That becomes really important here, and I think they've got that ability, size, passing skills to be able to go against that frenetic type defense that the Ravens will throw at you.
It will be Bridget Mulholland to take the tip against Tatiana Burke, and let's do it. Semifinal number 2. Winner gets a date against Saskatchewan tomorrow night for gold. And these two teams we mentioned, very familiar with one another. Let's get at it. Carleton versus Queens, semifinal number 2. And that was a picture-perfect start for Queens as Isabella Gaudette opens up the scoring.
And even before the tip goes up, they're battling for position on the outside, if that's forecasting anything.
Pockernick. Strong pass, Buisa. Aggressive rebound there by the Ravens, and they're going to regain possession. It was Buisa hitting the deck with the ball. And that's when these two teams are just so familiar. There is no feeling out process. This tournament can be a little bit tricky. You're maybe facing an opponent you've never played before, but that is not the case. These two teams know each other inside and out.
Yeah, the scout coming into this game looked very different than, say, the Huskies-Laval matchup, right? Like they're not necessarily watching a ton of film or looking over scouts. They know who they are. It's just about who wants it more.
Isabella Gaudette for 3. She's got all 5 points for Queens. And Carleton in the hole early. Callie Pockernick at 25 points in the quarterfinal. Spins. Puts it on the floor to Burke. Burke, good defense there by Chadwick. We'll talk about Julia Chadwick throughout this broadcast as Jacqueline Urban gets the Ravens on the board for the first time.
Number 22, Jacqueline Urban.
Gaudette.
Oh, I saw that coming.
There, and stolen, and here comes Tatiana Burke all by herself, lays it in. Makes it 5-4. Sometimes those buckets are actually a little bit tricky because you don't realize how much time you get. You get in your own head.
Don't know how much time and space you get. Throw it off, get thrown off a little bit in rhythm. Yeah, it can be scary.
Welts directing traffic. Moves to her left. Fires it to Donovan for 3. That one's a little bit short. Burke there for the rebound. Pockernick with her head up. Behind the back, puts it on the floor. Buisa for 3. That is good. Carleton roars back. Queens open up with a 5-0 run, and Carleton responds with a 7-0 run.
Buisa, 29% three-point shooter, only hit 8 during the regular season. That's a big one here in this first quarter for Carleton.
When you could tell, they let her have it, right? She wasn't running out, making her, like, didn't even contest it, just let her shoot it.
Mulholland dribbling with her left hand. Too strong. Chadwick there in perfect position for the rebound and lays it in. Julia Chadwick had 25 points and 27 rebounds in the quarterfinals against St. Mary's.
Oh my goodness.
You don't see too many 25, 27 stat lines at any level of basketball. Callie Pockernick with a nice response.
Well, and for Chadwick in the playoffs, she's averaging 22.4 points a game and 20.6 rebounds a game. So, yeah, you don't see numbers like that in one-off games, let alone over the stretch of a few.
She had 10 rebounds in the third quarter alone as that three-pointer by Mulholland falls wide. And a frenetic pace in the first 3 minutes of this one. Ravens lead 9-7. Buckle up. This is what the the rest of this game's going to look like.
Well, mentioned they played in the national final a year ago, third ever meeting at the Final 8. So a final a year ago back in 2017 in the bronze medal game, and now here in the national semifinal. So these teams seem to play each other not just in the regular season, but in big games, both in Ontario and nationally.
Tatiana Burke with a chance to complete the three-point play.
Really nice move there to not travel, get to the rim.
Absolutely. She does get all three. So a 12-2 run for the Ravens. Foul called against Carleton. That's going to be Tatiana Burke. As Haley Barbieri is checked in for Queens. Gaudette to inbound. Chadwick moves it to Welts. Welts being watched by Buisa. 7 versus 7, Buisa ends up with it.
No movement from the perimeter there from Queens, just left her all alone. Nobody cut into the rim, had no release.
Poulin puts it on the floor to Buisa. And a travel is called with 6:17 remaining in the first. One thing I've noticed in the first 3 minutes is both coaching staffs are very active, very vocal, patrolling the sidelines.
Yeah, Claire Meadows for Queens will be a little quieter. Danny Sinclair, the opposite of that. So you'll get contrasting styles, both engaged but differently.
That's one thing I definitely monitor a lot more now that I'm a coach, is how coaches behave. And it's quite interesting, actually.
Barbieri's three falls a little bit short, and Poulin there for the rebound, and she turns on the Jets. Finds Pockernick. Strong pass to Buisa. Puts it on the floor to Urban. Urban being worked over by Chadwick. Finds Buisa for three. Short. Good job there by Gaudette for the rebound. Here comes Welts. Barbieri. Chadwick. Tough play by Julia Chadwick, and she makes no mistake. OUA first team All-Star. She's got 4 points. It's a 12-9 game.
Yeah, even though Buisa hit that first one, they're still letting her shoot it. She doesn't want it.
Pockernick comes up short. Collision, and it will remain Carleton ball. Timeout called, 5:08 remaining in the first. A terrific pace to start this first quarter as the Carleton Ravens find themselves ahead 12-9.
Yeah, we've seen two semifinals with huge pace.
As you're watching semifinal number 2, U Sports Women's Basketball Final 8 on CBC Sports.
Nike team, proud to be the official performance apparel provider of U Sports, encouraging all student athletes to just do it. Go to usports.ca after the event to purchase the authorized commemorative Nike championship apparel. Rock and steady.
Hey U Sports fans, check out shop.usports.ca for this week's promotional item from the Nike Team Collection. Visitez le shop.usport.ca pour en profiter de la promotion de la semaine de la collection Nike Team.
They don't do it for the likes or for the shares. They do it for the fun of it, for the thrill, for the camaraderie, for the memories. CBC Sports, just because they love it.
Welcome back inside the Laval Community Sports Center on the south side of Edmonton. A terrific first 5 minutes to this one. Carleton leads 12-9. They're going to look inside the Queens huddle. They won silver in OUA, falling to the Carleton Ravens. Carleton has won 6 consecutive games, both in playoffs and conference. These two teams are very familiar with one another, and really there was no feeling out process in this one, Doug. They just came fired out of a cannon.
Yeah, and it's And Kira, you know this as a coach, when, like you said off the top, when you played each other so much, there's only so many wrinkles you can throw in, things they haven't seen. So it becomes at this point just a real test of who executes better. I know that sounds a bit cliche, but at the end of the day, that's what this becomes.
Yeah, who takes advantage of the mistakes that they're making, who sticks to the game plan, and does the things that you do well to get you here in the first place.
Haley Barbieri has entered the chat. Big three-point shot, and we're tied at 12.
Top 2 3-point shooting teams in Ontario. Queens number 2 at just over 30%. Barbieri knocks down a big one.
Buisa stops, fires. Chadwick there for the rebound.
Oh.
Chadwick in the paint, spins, misses.
Had her way earlier.
Poulin with the rebound, and here come the Ravens. Poulin from the free throw line, pulls up and shoots. That's good.
And it is too easy. You got to stop the basketball earlier. She's able to just walk to the free throw line. No one reacted to her.
Yeah, had an advantage situation there because it was a Chadwick that was on the floor, but somebody's got to step up. You got to rotate, and there's got to be a weak side person open instead of the person with the ball. There's just no communication there.
Chadwick and Buisa collide, and unfortunately for Carleton, Buisa is going to pick up the foul. And it will be Queens ball with under 4 minutes remaining in the first. Haley Barbieri, second-year guard for Queens, finds Donovan. Donovan, 5 to go in the shot clock. Tough left-hander, can't go. Good rebound there by Poulin, and here come the Ravens.
She moves so well for being as tall and as long as she is.
Corner 3 for Pockernick, too strong. Gaudette in excellent position for the rebound. Barbieri. Zips it out to McFarland. Donovan for 3, short. Poulin's been all over the floor early on in this one for Carleton. Pockernick. Untouched, can't finish. Good rebound by Duvnak, and she is fouled. Zarina Duvnak will go to the line for 2.
Well, Kira, you mentioned Poulin in her second season out of Brossard, Quebec, has started all 54 conference and playoff games that she's been in, and I think that speaks to the athleticism. Even as a young player, when you have that kind of athletic ability, coaches will trust you in terms of things that you can do, even if you're not as experienced at this level. So she's clearly been a player that's developed trust with Danny Sinclair really from the second she walked on campus.
Yeah, you're going to make young mistakes, but when you're as long and as athletic as she is, you're going to do things that other players can't do, and it lengthens your leash.
Carleton has a 4-point lead as Barbieri across half. Almost has it stolen by Pockernick. It ends up stolen. Great job there by Duvnak. She moves it quickly to Burke. Poulin runs right into Bridget Mulholland. And Mulholland will get charged with her first foul. A little bit of confusion as to where the inbound will be taking place. It will be on the baseline. Poulin to inbound. Nice jump shot there by Donato. And a timeout called by Queens, 2:49 remaining. 18-12, Carleton out in front. Queens wants to take a breather and a reset.
So far, no surprises. Pretty much exactly what we were expecting from both. Both playing their games exactly the way that we had mentioned earlier.
Yeah, Carleton, again, they'll push the pace at both ends of the floor. I'm always impressed by how high they play defensively. They're just so confident being right on the ball, full denies, makes it so difficult because it feels, you watched when they played Fraser Valley on Thursday, I have to imagine for Fraser Valley, it felt like they were playing 9 players at various points because every time they moved the ball, there was a white jersey collapsing around them, and Queens be a little more familiar. Again, we've seen them already able to move that basketball a bit, but Queens at the same time, as much as Carleton play at that frenetic pace, Queens trying to slow it down. Even a couple opportunities on the break. You mentioned earlier they had Chadwick on that one break early, but they're content to sort of slow it down and look for that next opportunity. And again, like you talked about earlier, teams playing to their strengths. That's what they're trying to do here. When you get to this point of the season, it's really about how you manage your strengths and how you use them effectively.
Well, and one of the nice things about like meeting a familiar team is you're not changing anything based off of what you're doing because you're so familiar. But what happens sometimes with teams when they come up against teams they haven't faced or teams that they think are going to cause problems, you go away from your identity and you start changing things up instead of just sticking to what you do well and what you know. Trying to match up against who you're playing rather than, staying true to what you are.
Really tough shot for McFarland, couldn't fall, and here come the Ravens looking for a response. Poulin bullies her way towards the bucket. Julia Chadwick there for the rebound. Chadwick already with 4 rebounds.
This whole Carleton offense, just like we expected, packed in that paint. Everything's happening, free throw line in, it feels like they're just cleaning up boards and take anything that's a shot outside is just a jumper besides that 1-3 that they took early.
2:09 remaining in the first. Ravens lead by 6. Tatiana Burke to inbound, a second-team All-Star in OUA. Callie Pokranick, a first-team All-Star in OUA, averaging 15 points per game in conference play. I mentioned that 25 points in the quarterfinal and shot 71% from 3, was 5 for 7. 6 to go in the shot clock. Poulin. Pokranick steps out of bounds. And it will be Queens ball with 1:47 remaining.
Well, it's interesting, you look at Carleton's numbers, percentage-wise the best three-point shooting team in OUA, but actually took, in comparison to Queens, 142 fewer threes. So they don't rely on it, even though they shoot it very well.
Bit of a miscommunication there between Gaudette and Chadwick, and it goes out of bounds. So Queens gives the ball right back to the Ravens. Pokranick receives that pass in motion. Pick set by Urban. Pokranick to her right. Rising, firing, and that's partially blocked by Barbieri. And she gets slightly nudged from behind, is able to keep her balance. Chadwick for 3. Off the backboard, no good. Carleton there for the rebound. Pokranick for 3. That's a big shot for Callie Pokranick. A 9-point lead for the Ravens, a minute left in the first. Barbieri, almost stolen. Donovan in the corner to Gaudette. Gaudette from the U Sports logo is good. Big shot there for Queens. Hanging around this one, down by 7. Pokranick, finger roll. Good looking shot there by Callie Pokranick. Picking up where she left off in the quarterfinals.
Well, she's so explosive, finding those gaps and then that touch when she gets near the rim.
Yeah, her spacing is so good, keeps her dribble alive, able to create space where you don't really think there is any.
Gaudette battles with Pokranick. And that's going to be the first foul called on Pokranick. And we have our first warning. The official warns the Carleton bench. 7.5 seconds remaining in the first. So Queens has enough time to run a play here. Chadwick to Barbieri. 3, 2, and that will do it for the first quarter. And a terrific pace to start this one. Carleton out in front, 23-14. You're watching Semifinal Saturday, U Sports Women's Basketball Final 8 on CBC Sports.
The exchange was awesome.
A big welcome to the center court of the
have the power to inspire and impact the climate.
Welcome back inside the Saville Community Sports Center. Semifinal number 2. The Carleton Ravens out in front 23-14. As we'll take a look at some of the stats through the first quarter, as Carleton, I wouldn't say Carleton dominated, but they certainly dictated the pace in that first quarter. Ravens shooting just under 43%, 2 for 4 from 3. Neither team really turning the ball over. Carleton winning the rebound margin. Doug and Kier, is there anything jumping out to you off the stat sheet through 10 minutes of play?
Well, really is at this point it's rebounding. 15-9 in favor of Carleton, 5-2 on the offensive glass. And it's how they we talk about how they swarm defensive, but how they swarm to those loose balls. And right now, a lot of those 50-50s, they're winning them, and it's giving them extra possessions or taking the ball out of the hands of the Gales.
Well, and I think we had touched on this, one of the girls from the Queens, about being more athletic, how you can make mistakes and make up for it, and not necessarily it's a mistake, but Carleton can put so much pressure on the ball and they can take risks going for steals because they're able to recover.
Yeah.
They don't actually force any rotations because they're long and fast and they can get back in front of the ball after they've taken that chance, and it pays off quite often if they're getting a touch on it, which disrupts the dribble, or a touch on it, which disrupts the pass, and now it throws the offense of the Queens off, or anybody that they're playing. And offense is all about rhythm, and when you can get touches and just be so disruptive like that, it's really hard to find a rhythm and timing with your teammates, and I think Carleton just does a wonderful job of that.
Back underway in the second quarter. Queens down by 9 as Emma Welts, she had 16 points in the quarterfinal, moves it over to Gaudette. Chadwick fires a dart over to Donovan for 3, and that's going to be short, but Chadwick in perfect position for the rebound, fighting with Urban. Missed that shot, tipped back out to Welts. Donovan finds Welts again. Able to still manage the dribble. 3-pointer by Gaudette is short, but another offensive rebound by Queens. Strong pass on the floor to Mulholland, and an offensive foul is called. Mulholland bulls over. I believe that was Quanquo.
Kunku does a great job recognizing where that pass was going to come to, steps into it.
Ooh, I don't think so.
No?
No.
I was looking at something on the floor.
No.
You had a better view. Okay.
Yeah, she was moving still, and her hip came out. Yeah, that was, no, I didn't agree with that one. But in that defensive possession alone, they had at least 3 touches, defensive touches, and it didn't lead to a steal. It didn't lead to, going into transition, but every shot that they took was slightly off of rhythm. No. That pass wasn't as clean, so now your attack isn't there. The attack middle got touched by the help. Like, it's smothering.
Yeah.
Ravens. Donato drives. Out of bounds, it's going to be Queens possession.
Well, and to your point here, especially for the shooters of Queens, you're expecting that ball to come to the pocket. You're ready to go, but if the ball's tipped, you got to adjust. What does that do? Even if it's a split second, it just allows that close, that extra little bit of time to get out on you. So again, as you've said a few times already, that rhythm piece, which Carleton does an excellent job of taking away from the opposition. And even against a team like Queens, who are so familiar with it, it's just tough to eliminate that when you're playing a team like the Ravens.
Well, and not even like without the close even happening. If you're catching the ball outside the pocket, it's way less likely to go in, right? If you're catching it on the seams in rhythm, like that's how you want it, right? And so when you're reaching down or reaching up, or it's coming off a bounce or whatever it is, it's just a far harder shot and less lower percentage.
Julia Chadwick will go to the line. Her first trip this evening.
64% free throw shooter, the native of Ottawa. Spent 1 year in the NCAA with Robert Morris. Actually knows Claire Meadows quite well. Coach Meadows coached the U18 FIBA Americas team that Chadwick was on. They won a silver medal back just after Chadwick completed high school.
Donato drives with the left hand. Really nice finish by Teresa Donato.
And then just immediately putting pressure on the ball too. Like that mental switch of offense to defense is so high.
Welts runs right into traffic, and it's a tie-up, and it will be Carleton possession. They lead 25-16.
Even though Carleton, they've won all 3 games this season, but they've all been close. 5-point margin, 7-point margin, 8-point margin in the OUA final. So they're used together to playing close games. You know, the Ravens had an 18-point lead at the half in the OUA final. Queens found their way back into it.
It will be Dorcas Buisa to inbound. Finds Donato, nice jump shot, comes up a little short. Chadwick there for the rebound, already has six of those tonight.
That's wild.
Gaudette loses the handle, so she points to her chest and said, that was my bad, but this Ravens defense just stifling.
You almost get baited in a little bit in a situation like that where you think, there's a lane there I can go, but Carleton so quick and they angle so well defensively. The next thing you know, you're at the baseline, you have nowhere to go. And again, a lot of standing around from Queens. There are no releases, no support. So we've seen that happen a handful of times already for the Gales in this game.
Pockernick puts it on the floor to Buisa. Buisa spins, fires, tough shot, but she makes it look easy. She has 5. It's an 11-point advantage for the Ravens. Welts. Mulholland. Donovan. Tried to find Chadwick, but it was stolen, and here comes Poulin. Nice play there to make the defender miss. That was it. Donovan go flying. And Carleton's stretching their lead to 13. Welts. Gaudette, back to Welts. Good ball movement here. Donovan in the corner for 3, and that's a
so
big
much
shot.
better.
Queens needed that bucket.
In, out, extra pass. Very nice.
Pretty looking play there by Queens as Pockernick looking for a response. Her team leads by 10. For 3 herself. And that's exactly the response they were looking for. Queens calls timeout with 6:30 remaining. 32-19, the Ravens ahead.
And in that case for Chadwick, recognizes she's got that one-on-one with Pockernick, not a lot of help in behind, tries to get out and defend. Pockernick, who's taken the most threes on this Ravens roster, but just even with Chadwick's length, can't get out enough to contest that triple. But I want to come back to the last possession for Queens, trying to dump the ball into the low post. And again, because of how Carleton plays, and they force you to play at such a pace, that entry look had no chance because, and I think it was, I want to look here, and I think it was Gaudette who was in the post. She wasn't set at all. So that pass is doomed from the beginning because you think, I got to get that in right away because I think she might be open, and I know there's going to be someone jumping to cut that off. You just end up playing at such a frenetic pace yourself. And that's partly, I think, why Carleton can be so successful in terms of how they play defensively. They just make you play at a level that you're not necessarily wanting to play.
And the way that you combat that, like the chaoticness of it, you need to slow down, you need to give ball fakes, right? You need to be smarter and make them pay for taking those risks, right? And if you're playing at the same energy level, like you said, like that pass had no chance going in, then you need to move it and find something better. But if you're trying to put it in, you got to fake up, you got to fake down, you got to get good angles, you got to make sure that the timing is correct, but you got to slow it down a little bit. And if they're going to jump and they're going to go for, like, try and shoot lanes for passes, you have to make them pay, right? Like, it comes down to being able to outsmart a defense like that, because you're not going to out-athletic this Carleton defense. Like, they're just very long and quick and aggressive, so you have to find other ways to do it.
Well, especially as the guard on the perimeter, part of your job is to read when your post player is open and help them establish time to get themselves set, and that didn't happen on that possession.
Also got to move when it goes in. or like somebody drives and gets to the middle, like Queens is just standing around on offense when it does go in, and like they're looking for a release and they don't have anything.
5 to go in the shot clock. Queens has to hurry. 3-pointer by Chadwick is an air ball, so violation or out of bounds. Pick your poison. It will be Carleton possession with 6:05 remaining.
Well, a Carleton team that leads the nation in rebound margin, a +16, so they
That's crazy.
tend to just annihilate the opposition on the glass.
Pockernick finds Poulin. She drives, stops, pivots. Really nice look there by Kiana Jade Poulin. She has 6. Carleton has their largest lead of the night. It's 34-19.
And as much as rebounding, you know, like if you're tall and athletic, of course you're going to have an advantage, but it's a mindset, right? Like it is effort and a mindset. Like I've played on teams where, or against teams where their point guard was their leading rebounder because they just went in and cleaned up all the ones that, you know, weren't up in the air, and anytime it came down to the floor, they just scooped them up. And yeah, and you can tell that's the mindset of this team defensively and on the glass, is that it's theirs, it belongs to them.
Donovan for 3. That's going to be short. Speaking of, Pockernick there with the rebound. In perfect position for that. Her shot doesn't fall. Welts in perfect position for that rebound. Moves it quickly to Barbieri. Chadwick from the U Sports logo. Misses to the left. Can't quite get her own rebound. Urban does a good job. Excuse me, that was Duvnak. Duvnak does a good job to not step out of bounds.
And in a moment like that, too, like their offense has got to communicate with each other. Like she's got the ball inside back to the basket, and there's girls digging in from the corners. You got to be letting her know that that's coming as well. Like she had baseline back to her right hand, but went left, and they dug in, and there was no communication and like no awareness that that was even coming.
Yeah. And to your point earlier, cutters away from, I mean, obviously you don't want to bring defenders too, but so you got to let her establish, but at the same time, you have to recognize where there are gaps, and there are gaps when Carleton throws that many players at the ball. So
Barbieri to Donovan. Nice pass to Chadwick. Nice pass, nice finish, and a foul is called. And Julia Chadwick will go to the line looking to complete the 3-point play.
Came to a 2-foot ball fake, kicked it in right here.
Well, in that case there, you get her rolling to the rim, so she's got momentum herself to the rim. So even if there's a double coming, she has the momentum going into that.
Rhythm, timing, yeah.
Chadwick, 8 points on the night. Make it 9. And it's a 12-point advantage for Carleton. Pockernick. Waiting, dribbling, being watched by McFarland. Pockernick spins, fires. Good looking shot there by Pockernick. She's got 12.
Number 4, Kelly Pockernick.
Barbieri. Chadwick working over Urban. Gaudette. Stolen. Here comes Donato. Almost get her wires crossed with her teammate. Donato tries to go coast to coast. Ends up fighting with it. It was Welts that ended up with it. Chadwick, baseline, up, and is fouled. So Julia Chadwick slowly chipping away at this deficit. She will go to the line to shoot 2.
Well, they've certainly made a more concerted effort here in the last couple of minutes to get the ball into her hands. Even on the previous possession, the ball went into her, she kicked it back out. I'd love to see them go right back into her again, because to your point about how quickly Carleton moves, they're going to rotate up top, get it back into her, get that. You just have that advantage of that Carleton defense moving so much, so just pump it right back into her. She, even for a split second, she's got single coverage inside, has an opportunity to turn and square to the rim.
Especially like both times it's went in, she's gone to the line.
That's right.
Callie Pockernick, game high 12 points. Her team leads by 13. Poulin.
Oh, that's way too easy.
Way too easy. She makes that look easy. She has 8 points.
It really opened up and just gave her a right hand.
Carleton really capitalizing on every single inch that Queens has given them. Gaudette finds Chadwick and finds Barbieri for 3. That is short. Good job there by Burke. Great calf strength to not tiptoe out of bounds there. And then she turns on the Jets, loses the handle. And a bit of a break there for the Gales, as they will get possession under 3 minutes left in the first half.
Yeah, Queens at times here in this opening half starting to settle for threes. Now with 2:56 to go, down 15, I think the aim for Queens now, can you get it into single digits heading into halftime?
Haley Barbieri. Chadwick, swarmed by a pair of white jerseys. Spins, takes a couple steps. Unorthodox looking shot doesn't go. Rebound gobbled up by the Ravens. Here comes Burke. Coast to coast, left hand layup, no mistake.
And I have to wonder too if like the lack of movement from the perimeter players has to do with the fact that Carleton's transition is so fast, but now you're not doing either, right? Like they're not getting any cutters or any movement, but then they're getting transition anyway, so they're kind of just in no man's land in those moments. It's either you got to commit to going to get a rebound and cutting so that you have some options, or you're coming back and stopping that transition, but right now they're not getting either.
Well, coming back to that last basket from Carl, I mean, that's set up by great defense from Urban. I mean, just great on-ball defense inside. Keeps her feet moving. Ultimately leads to a tough shot and then a layup at the other end.
That's Isabella Gaudette at the line.
Second-year player out of Ottawa. Remember the OUA All-Rookie team a year ago. 5th in the country in three-point shooting. Led OUA this season, 43%.
Really good box out there by Duvnak to prevent Chadwick from getting to it. Poulin. Ball's been in her hands a lot tonight. She finds Donato. Rising, firing.
Tough
Donato's
shot.
good. Carleton starting to stretch this. They lead by 19.
Well, if anyone's worried about the mid-range game in basketball has disappeared, well, it's all landed in Ottawa at Carleton because they haven't forgotten it one bit.
Donovan swarmed, stifling defense by the Ravens. And Chadwick picks up the foul, and she does not agree. With 1:40 remaining, Ravens in control.
Yeah, a bit unlucky, but definitely a foul.
Poulin. Back to Donato. Kwangku. And miscommunication there by Queens in this shot. They had an opportunity. They turn it over, and Carleton with 1:21 remaining will get the ball back at a 19-point advantage. Poulin. In the corner. Out of bounds. So Queens will get it right back. And a warning handed out for the shot after the whistle. So we've seen Carleton get a couple warnings so far tonight.
Yeah, bench warning and then the delay of game warning there.
70 seconds remaining in the half. Long pass ahead to Welts. Welts, Mulholland, short. Looked like maybe a defender got a piece of that.
Yeah, I can't put that one on the floor. Got to go up.
Donato.
Issue the shot clock here.
Something we saw a little bit last night in the consolation semifinals. It's funny, the shot clock worked fine all regular season, and we've had only 2 issues, and they're able to fix it rather quickly. It's usually how things work out. Thankfully, not too long of a delay. We're back underway as Donato. With speed, almost had that stolen, but what a shot by Teresa Donato.
Just everything's just downhill, downhill, downhill. Come to a stop pivot shot. Like that's just been, I don't know how many of the last 44 points of Carleton's. Queens just doesn't have an answer for it yet.
Gaudette from the U Sports logo snaps a bit of a run by the Ravens. She has 9. 3 seconds between game clock and the shot clock. Donato. To her right. Drives. Too strong. Tipped. Urban can't finish. Mulholland. Queens are going to have to move quickly. 4 seconds to go. Gaudette was calling for it. Mulholland goes coast to coast and can't finish. And at the half, Carleton well ahead. They lead 44-25. We had mentioned these two teams are quite familiar with one another. Carleton has only made 3 shots outside the key. It was, they're doing their work inside the paint, and Queens has their work cut out for them in the second half.
Well, it was, again, we mentioned before, it was an 18-point deficit they faced at halftime of the OUA final, and it's a 19-point one here. And on Thursday, with the 2 games we saw, especially in the Saskatchewan-Calgary game, just how much Calgary had to work to get looks. It's 10 times more here right now for Queens in terms of the work they're having to do. And they're not getting great looks. They've knocked down some tough shots, frankly, to keep themselves at a 19-point deficit. Whereas, as you said a few minutes ago, Kira, it's just all downhill. Everything's in the paint. Carleton's getting easy looks, no contest. And part of that is skill. Again, it's driving defenders off the ball and then open themselves up for looks. But, yeah, it's you mentioned the opening about familiarity and how challenging that can be. Sometimes, too, a team can get in your head. It feels a little bit like that's where we're tipping right now, that the way Carleton plays is in the head of the Queens Gales.
Yeah, just so confident coming into it. It's like, we've done this 6-7 times already, in the last 2 years, so there's just a ton of confidence there. Like right now, honestly, I thought Queens had more turnovers than they did, but and they're not shooting as bad as I thought they were either. Like from the 3, not great, 3 for 13, that's hurting them for sure, especially if you get the shot selection that they're taking from the 3 as well. Yeah. Early ones or out of rhythm, just not good looks from the 3 that you want. But right now, it's the downhill attacks that they don't have an answer for. They're not having any sort of help. They're getting middle whenever they want. They're biting on their fakes, and then they're just able to finish over top of them. There has to be some sort of support on those attacks earlier. They're getting way too deep in the paint and then just finishing over top or getting rebounds and putting it back in. Like, there has to be a dig higher, or there has to be some sort of packing of the paint, because Carleton, like you said, they shoot the ball well from the 3, but they don't want to shoot from the 3, and 2 of them shoot more than 50% of all the shots they've taken from the 3. So there's got to be some sort of defensive packing in the paint to take that middle drive away and those little jumpers. Like, it's just killing them right now.
Yeah. The Ravens with 28 points in the paint, and Queens with just 12, as the Ravens have a 19-point advantage at the half. They lead 44-25. You're watching Semifinal Saturday. I'm Mark Majot, pleased to be joined alongside Kira Lyons and Doug McLean. The winner gets a date with Saskatchewan tomorrow night's gold medal final. Coming back in about 10 minutes, and we'll get you set for the second half between the Ravens and the Gales.
It's that moment again, the one you dream of every night. La seule chose qui te préoccupe, c'est la gloire. Le cheminement de la réussite, of pushing yourself further than ever before. But the true glory is in the shadows. Les sacrifices que tu fais, quand toutes les chances sont contre toi. When you can't push one more second, chase the glory. Visez haut.
Beaumont has the ball, taking it up the court. Number 59, Alexis with it. Alexis has the ball, puts it up so close. DJ James Taylor, let's get some sick beats. Blizzards with the ball. Claire has it. Claire passes back to Allie. Allie dishes out. Oh, three-point attempt by Kinsey, so close. Beaumont with the ball now, bringing it back. That's number 17, Avery, passing it off. Great steal there, dishing to a teammate. Lily has it, puts it up. Oh, so close. Now, the Blizzard. A transition with a mission. Bringing it back here is Claire. It's up. Oh, 2-point basket. Score by number 3, Georgia. Alexis. Ball stolen there by Anya. Pitter patter back and forth, but Anya takes it for the Blizzard. Dishing back to teammates. Claire with it, puts it up. Claire, oh, so close. Good shot, Claire. Now Beaumont brings it back. It's Peyton. Peyton dribbling with the right hand. Loses it momentarily. It was all deliberate. She puts it up. Oh, so close. Great shot, Peyton. Lily has it. Passing off to teammate. Oh, off the backboard and the rim. Blizzard now in the offensive zone. They push. Oh, so close. Good shot. Out of bounds. Beaumont with it, that's Alexis taking it up the court. Alexis passes off to Lily. Lily has it, boxing out her opponent, passes off to Kenzie. Kenzie with it. Great ball control here by Beaumont. Nice pass back, the shot, oh, so close, great try, Jaina. And there's a 2-point basket score. Allie has the ball for the Blizzards. Quick passing, gets it to Kinsey. Kinsey with it, back to Ania. Ania puts it up. Oh, so close, great try. Now Ava, oh, even closer. But Beaumont turns it back the other way. Alexis, over half court. She's on a mission. Taking the ball all the way to the baseline. Oh, through the legs. What dribbling skills. Passes off, the shot's up, so close. Great try, Aaliyah. Blizzard with it now. Kinsey. Claire so close, just out of bounds there. Nice pass up. Ania, oh, so close. Beaumont, great try there. Lily has the ball, dribbling left hand. Nice pass to her teammate. Kenzie with it, back to Lily. Oh, the ball stolen. Lily chases after it, well done. All right, one last play here, 15 seconds on the clock. Beaumont with it, puts it up, so close. Time winding down, 5, 4, 3, 2, there we go. No chance for one more shot, unfortunately. Let's give a huge round of applause to Beaumont and the SBA Blizzards. fantastic festivities we have on the track. Beer for sale, some food for sale, as well as some local brand flannel boxes collaborating with the U of A to create some limited edition merch. Head on to the east wall under the tents to check it out and support local.
Hey you sports fans, check out shop.usports.ca for this week's promotional item from the Nike Team Collection. Visitez le shop.usport.CA pour en profiter de la promotion de la semaine de la collection Nike Team.
Welcome back to the Saville Community Sports Center semifinal number 2 between the Carleton Ravens and the Queens Gales. Winners gets a date with Saskatchewan tomorrow in the gold medal matchup. These two teams are quite familiar with one another, and it was all Ravens, especially in that second quarter. Let's revisit some of our keys to the game. Kira, I will start with you for Carleton. You said just do what's working. You know, they're one of the top teams in the nation for a reason, OUA champs, and you know, they're up by 19. Safe to say they kept doing what was working for them.
Yeah, and I mean, their field goal percentage is super high throughout the year, and they're 41 from the field and 50 from the three. I mean, they're killing them in the paint. They're absolutely killing them in the paint right now. They've only taken 4 threes, but it's their downhill attacks into the paint, and then their rebounding, and then just the suffocating defense, which is exactly what we expected coming into this game. They're very disruptive. They're able to take risks like we talked about before, but make up for them with their athleticism and not actually force any rotations. And Queens are just having a really hard time finding the rhythm.
And on the flip side, Doug, Queens, you said they had to move the ball while they're doing that. Unfortunately, we're turning the ball over 10 times. They have a hole they got to dig out of in the second half.
Yeah, 5 assists, 10 turnovers. That's not a good ratio. But again, it's been balls get in, but they're kind of it's sinking. You're hanging on to it too long. You got to make that ball move, make this defense move and react. And at times the ball is getting trapped and not moving around as quickly as it needs to against this, as Kira said, smothering Carleton defense.
Well, one of the things that really sticks out from these stats, looking at the first half, is the assists on Carleton's behalf. They only have 2 assists in that whole half, and that just goes to show that they're just attacking them one-on-one, right? They're not having to make any sort of passes. They're just getting to the rim and then cleaning up their own boards. Like, they're not moving the ball at all. They're just going at them.
Well, and that speaks, I mean, over the course of the season, 29th in the nation in assists was Carleton, a team that, to your point, they take the ball, they head down, go to the rim, and they have the ability to knock shots down.
Queens has their work cut out for them in this second half as Julia Chadwick at the line. I want to take a moment to thank anyone out east who's staying up late to watch semifinal number 2. It's quarter after 11. On top of daylight savings night, you're going to lose an hour. So thank you to some of the night owls out east who've been watching us all weekend long. Still 2 more quarters to go. And what's been a fantastic semifinal Saturday. Pucker runs into traffic. Finds Buisa, she loses it. Welts does a good job to maintain possession, and here comes Queens. Donovan moves it quickly to Chadwick, and Buisa lost it at one and then deflected it out of bounds at the other.
So much more support on that help there, like going into that 2-3. And the movement of the top 2 guards recovering for each other, really playing off one another and just stepping in and reducing that attack early. Nice to see the adjustment.
Bella Gaudette was wide open for 3 and she couldn't finish, and here come the Ravens. Poulin can't handle it, but deflected out of bounds by Laura Donovan of Queens, so it will remain Ravens possession. Urban to inbound. Poulin. Pockernick, corner, 3, money, 49-27, the Ravens lead. Kelly Pockernick had 25 points in the quarterfinal, has 50 so far tonight, and gets a steal.
You could see that developing up the floor. Guy that didn't want any part of bringing the ball up against Pockernick. I don't blame her. Ball's coming up to Pockernick's head every time she takes that dribble. But yeah, the hesitation and the lack of confidence there hurt the Queens.
Tatiana Burke to inbound and pause. As I think the scorekeepers want to make sure they have the correct rosters. Bit of confusion here as the officials are going to have a meeting. And we're good. Burke. Pockernick. Nice move by Pockernick. Couldn't quite get the finish he was hoping for. Rebound collected by Welts. Strong pass ahead to Donovan. Barbieri. Chadwick. Stolen by Urban. What a pass by Urban to Burke. Urban tumbles, but a foul called. That's going to go against Chadwick. Foul number 2 for Julia.
Two possessions in a row, turnover foul. Can't be compounding those mistakes when you're trying to claw back from a deficit.
Queens down by 22, and they have a minuscule margin for error going against such a well-balanced team in Carleton as Pockernick making it look easy. She's got 17 points.
Quick burst, gets herself to the free throw line, and then it's just 2-foot stop, pull up, and a contested shot. How many times have we seen that? I mean, that spot on the floor is going to get worn out.
She turns a corner when it doesn't look like there's a corner. Like she just creates one.
Nice dish by Welts to Chadwick, but an offensive foul is called.
I think it was just out of bounds. I think he was just.
It was just out of bounds. Okay.
He was just excited about pointing.
I don't blame him. It's been a great weekend of basketball.
I'm going to use an analogy. It's always terrible using analogies cross sport, but considering the city we're in, we talk a lot here about what Connor McDavid can do on the ice in terms of getting the angles and things that you don't think are there. That's what Pockernick does. I mean, she, like you just said, Kira, I mean, there was no corner there, but she's so quick, despite the fact she's not long, so quick and gets around and just creates so well for herself. And again, despite the fact Queens has seen this for a couple seasons, I mean, what can you do again? It's just so difficult to defend someone that's that fast.
And her shot gets up so quick because
right.
she knows. You know, I mean, you're not scoring 15 points at this level at 5'3". If you're not aware, you got to get it up really quick, and how much time you have as they come over.
Substitution as Pockernick will take a seat with her 17 points, her team comfortably ahead. Teresa Donato checks back in. Barbieri loses her balance, and here come the Ravens with numbers. Poulin fires it over to Buisa for 3. Deflected out of bounds. It's going to remain Carleton ball, and the Ravens are still playing with a pace, like they're down by 1 despite being up by 20. They're not taking their foot off the gas pedal.
No, I think it's just who they are.
Urban fouled from behind. And that will send her to the line. That will be Jacqueline Urban's first trip.
Good job by Urban just to use her feet to create space for herself. And then turns and has a pretty good look at the rim, earns herself a trip to the free throw line. 72% shooter. U Sports Rookie of the Year a year ago. Not bad, averaged a double-double as a rookie. 10 points, 10.8 boards a game.
Misses her second attempt, but the rebound gets tipped right to her. Nice dish to Buisa.
Very nice.
Carleton. The lead continues to grow. Welts. Falls down. Foul called.
We had a really good angle of that. I mentioned the first half, the fact that they'll kind of bait you to spots, and there's an example where hey, go if you want. You think there's a gap there, you go. We're going to cut it off. Now, there's a foul taken there, but Queens looks and, okay, I think there's a lane, and it's gone instantaneously, and so you almost have to be, you don't want to quit attacking. That's not what I'm saying, but you got to be wary, either probe and then look to kick and move it so that you draw those defenders and then open up a teammate.
Donovan gets fouled as she goes for her own rebound. Certainly break out the ice packs for both seasons.
We did say it was going to be a dogfight.
It is. It's been a very physical second half. Don't let the score fool you. These two teams are still going at it. McFarland loses it. And Poulin looks around for help, running up against 3 blue jerseys. Slows things up. 6 minutes remaining in the third. Poulin up, and a foul is called. That will send Kiana Jade Poulin to the line for 2. And timeout called, immediate timeout with 5:58 remaining in the third. You are watching Semifinal Saturday. This is the U Sports Women's Basketball Final 8 on CBC Sports.
Medical supply partner of U Sports. Check out Burberry.com for all your medical supply product needs to keep you in the game.
They don't do it for the likes or for the shares. They do it for the fun of it, for the thrill, for the camaraderie, for the memories. CBC Sports, just because they love it.
Welcome back. 5:58 remaining in the third. Carleton out in front, 56-27. They have outscored Queens 12-2 in this third quarter. Heading into tonight, Carleton's 3 wins over Queens were only by a combined 20 points. But the Ravens well in control of this one, leading by 30.
Yeah, the national final a year ago, a 12-point win. Queens knocking off Alberta in the semifinal, where they just shot the lights out. And that, they have not been able to repeat that performance in tonight's semifinal.
Donovan. And a travel called against Queens. Here comes Poulin to her left. Puts it on the floor just out of reach of Duvnak. And it will be Gale's ball. As Katrina Rennan has checked in for the first time tonight, wearing number 12 for Queens. Welts. Gaudette. Chadwick on the floor, still finds a way to Rennan. 3-pointer by Donovan off the mark. Poulin with the rebound out of bounds. And it will remain Carleton ball with 5:10 remaining in the third. All Ravens here in this semifinal. Poulin drives, fouls. And I said it a couple minutes ago, the Ravens are still playing with the intensity like they're down by 2. despite being up by 31. They are not taking their foot off the gas pedal.
One thing we have the benefit of during the regular season with the stats package we get live is a shot chart. We don't have that unfortunately here, but I'd be fascinated to see it because oftentimes you look at shot charts now and it's lots of dots on the perimeter and lots of dots around the rim and not much anywhere else. That would not be Carleton's shot chart. It would be dots all over, a handful outside the three-point line and a ton at the rim. So it's a bit of I mean, it's hard to describe it as old school basketball. I'm not really sure that's what it is. It's not like it's back to the basket kind of basketball, but they are content saying, hey, the closer we get, the better off we are. Whereas a lot of teams now, analytics-wise, say, well, no, I'm better off taking more threes because the math works in my favor. Carleton doesn't, I'm not saying they don't believe in that, but they clearly play a different style.
Yeah, you're right. It's not old school, but if you were to look at a shot chart, it would look old school.
It would look old school.
Burke driving, fouled hard by Chadwick. And that will send Tatiana back to the line. Chadwick picks up her third foul.
Chadwick, tough night, but still getting close to another double-double. She's got 12 points, 8 rebounds.
Burke, 9 points on the evening, along with 4 rebounds. The gym gets hauntingly quiet for these free throws. Misses her first one. Bit more noise by the Queens fans in attendance. She hits her second. And a substitution as Kinley Rice checks in for the first time tonight for Carleton.
Kinley Rice, a third-year player, and you got to love this name of a town, Douglas, Ontario.
Brennan to Smith, who's also checked in for the first time tonight. The
Carleton
bench still
yeah, my goodness.
extremely vocal despite being up by more than 30. They're having a good time tonight. Nice move in the paint by Rennan, can't get the friendly bounce. It will remain Queens ball with 4:18 remaining.
A lot of that is coming from their starters and the girls that are playing big minutes, and they're supporting the girls that are on the floor that don't get to play as often, and it's a rare situation where you're up this much in a national tournament, especially in a semifinal, right? So I do love seeing that energy from them, supporting those girls that are out there, and you know, being able to give them energy in the minutes that they get. It's a big moment.
Laura Donovan hits a 3 for Queens as Burke drives.
Good
battling
defense.
with Rennan. And a foul called against the Ravens. Kinley Rice. They're up in arms in Douglas as Rice gets her first foul of the night.
And a nice job defensively there by Rennan, just to hold her ground, recognize the size advantage that she had in that moment. Don't leave your feet.
Nice burst of speed by Welts. Pokranick there for the rebound. She has 19. She's looking for more. Pokranick. Nice pass. Corner 3 for Donato is short. Rennan there for the rebound. To Smith. Foul called. That will be Callie Pokranick's third foul. We'll send Allison Smith to the line for the first time tonight.
Allie Smith, second-year player of Aurelia. Last appeared earlier in the playoffs, so did not play in the OUA final against Carleton, played earlier against Guelph. And Kira, you were saying a few minutes ago, yeah, not often in a national semi you're going to be up 31 points. So for Danny Sinclair, a situation, again, you're not declaring the game over by any means, but you're probably in a situation you can manage your bench a little bit differently. How much of Pockernick do we see here and there? Like, so you can manage things maybe a little differently in terms of minutes than you might have thought you would be doing coming in.
Well, and at the end of the year, after playing all these playoff games and these tough games, like, you know, playing the quarterfinal, the semifinal, tomorrow comes quick, right? There's not a whole lot of time to recover or rest. And so the fact that they have an opportunity to rest some of their girls that play big minutes is a pretty big advantage, but you also can never take a game lightly. And I understand the score is pretty spread, but at the same time, your girls need to get minutes too. The girls that are going to be playing, they need to get reps, and they need to be out there playing with one another and figuring things out. And
you're right, this is a unique situation. It's a national tournament, but it's also a team you're incredibly familiar with, and also a team, I imagine there's not a whole lot of love lost between these two teams either. So
gives like Alberta, Calgary vibes.
Very much so, and with 2:11 remaining in a 61-33 game, certainly not what we were expecting heading into semifinal number 2. Pockernick has an even 20 on the night. Mentioned she had 25 in the quarterfinal against Fraser Valley. That game seems like it was a week and a half ago. We've seen so much basketball in between now and then.
Had 20 in the OUA final victory.
Welts. Donovan. From the free throw line, tried to find Rennan. Pockernick hitting the deck. Don't tell her team's up by 29. She's diving for loose balls.
Queens really struggling to take care of the ball this half, like not really giving themselves even a chance, just reducing their possessions because they're turning it over so much.
Well, turnovers 18-6 right now.
Yeah, they've had 8 in this quarter then, because I think they went into the half with 10.
And here's the bigger thing, points off turnovers, 18-0. We've talked a lot about the defensive transition, so even on turnovers, Carleton not giving up anything easy.
Yeah.
Pockernick spins, fires. She
loves that.
I would love it too if
it worked like that. Yeah. It gives her space, right? Like, she's so quick. They blow by her, she spins, and now her height's not an issue because she's got so much space to put that up, and she's good at it, consistent.
Allison Smith. Works it down low. Nice play by McFarland.
Yeah, she was working hard there for that.
Worked very hard for those 2 points. A minute remaining in the third. 64-35, Carleton leads. Buisa down low, and that was to Duvnak, and she gets bumped.
Even there, the support is so low. She's getting way too deep. Like, it's either she's going to put that up and you have to, like, she's at the smile. You've got to be able to cut that off and support far earlier.
Zarina Duvnak at the line. Missed her first attempt. Has 1 point on the night.
Pockernick just checked out. Pretty nice night for her so far. 22 points on 8 of 15 shooting. The player that comes up big in big games was the MVP of the Final 8 a year ago out in Cape Breton.
And what's impressive is that stat line will be impressive at the end of the game. It's the end of the third
quarter.
Yeah.
And we'll see how much we see of her in the fourth quarter, if, again, assuming this score roughly holds. Smith at the free throw line was one of their better free throw shooters during the year, 86%. Didn't take a ton, but
.1 seconds remaining in the third. Carleton with a 30-point lead, excuse me. Poulin. Donato from the U Sports logo, short. Rebound, touches a few hands where it ends up with Barbieri. Tough hook shot, doesn't fall. Burke there for the rebound. Burke slows things up. 2 seconds between the shot clock and the game clock. Poulin takes a look. Kicks out the corner. Buisa for 3. Off the mark, rebound snatched up by Gaudette. She's got 3 seconds. Takes a look, loses the handle, heaves it up. Doesn't fall, and after 3 quarters, it is all Carleton. They lead 65-35. You're watching Semifinal Saturday. It is U Sports Women's Basketball Final 8 on CBC Sports.
The exchange was awesome. Yeah.
You have the power to inspire and impact the climate.
Certainly has their work cut out for them. Down by 30 heading into the 4th quarter. It's been all Carleton. We are on a collision course to have the number 1 seed face the number 2 seed in the gold medal matchup tomorrow night.
And I mean, look, in any tournament when number 1 and number 2 face each other, you're not surprised. But considering the depth of this field coming in, one of the deepest fields I think we've seen on the women's or the men's side for a while, frankly. Oftentimes the host, although hey, credit to the Laval men as host coming in, 8 seed, they're going to the national final. They knock off Dalhousie today. But because of the depth of the field, you just never know what you're going to get. But I think it speaks to just how good both the Huskies and the Ravens are that, you know, they're going to, again, barring something dramatic happening here in this 4th quarter, they're going to, you know, end up where we might have thought they would. But it hasn't been easy for them to get here, either team.
Yeah, I was hoping that it'd be a bit more exciting, this one, especially because they've met each other so many times, that there'd be a bit more of a fight. I mean, there's, like you said, there's still a quarter left to play, and I'm excited to see how Queens responds and show a little bit of character and a little bit of heart in this 4th quarter, because this is a really hard spot to be in, but they also know if they don't win this, they're still playing for bronze.
Yes.
So they need to find some rhythm. They need to build some confidence here offensively in this next 10 minutes so that they're going into the bronze not feeling so defeated, right? Like a 30-point loss and going into the 4th quarter can be a really defeating thing to have to do and a horrible thing to have to go through, but you still have a bronze to play for. So there needs to be that kind of in the back of your mind. As much as you don't want to look past this game, it's got to be in the process of your brain of like, all right, we need to figure some things out here if we're going to show up tomorrow.
And a pretty young lineup on the floor right now when you look at Barbieri, 2nd-year player, Smith, 2nd-year player, Rennan, a 1st-year player, Michaela McFarland, the veteran 3rd-year player right now, and Gaudette as well, a 2nd-year player. So
very, very young.
Burke being worked over by Smith. A little too aggressive there was Smith. Her first foul. And to your point, Kiera, about playing for bronze, I know it's tough in the moment, but when these student athletes think back in 10, 15 years, they're going to want something from this tournament. And
I had an opportunity to play for a bronze, and I didn't get one. And if I could go back and, you know, try and win that dirty gold, of course I would do it again, right? It's a big deal, and even though it doesn't feel like a big deal because you lost the game that you wanted to win to go to that championship, it is a big deal. You still have you're top 4 in the country out of, like, I don't even know how
48
many.
Teams,
48
yeah.
teams. Like, that's such a huge accomplishment. But coming home with a little bit of hardware is always special, and it's always such a good thing. And you have an opportunity to end your season on a win. And the amount of teams that get to do that and say that are very, very few.
Smith. Barbieri. She has 3 points, and that is stolen. Urban takes a tumble.
Amount of bodies on the floor in this game. You'd think, like you said, you'd think that Carleton is behind, but you think it's a close game by the intensity and how people are just diving all over the place.
Yeah, and you said it, I think you said it Thursday night. This has been a long season for every single player. I would be shocked if every single player on the floor is playing at 100%, right? Everyone's going to have bumps and bruises, little nicks and stuff that you accumulate over the season, but it's not hurting right now.
Well, and I think I said last time we talked about it that 80% is 100%. Like if you're at 80% right now for the field, you are at 100%.
And unfortunately, I feel like I just jinxed it as Laura Donovan goes down. She is holding on to her left ankle. As we'll take a look.
He's gotten caught underneath as Buisa came down. And again, not Buisa's, I mean, just one of those situations where you're heading back down the floor. So hopefully for Donovan, she's okay, fifth-year player out of London.
Oh, and ankles hurt so much.
But like a twist.
Yeah, just rolling it.
Yeah, not fun. So as the athletic therapists take a look at her, there you see the Carleton huddle there, comfortably ahead, leading by 32. Reigning U Sports champion, well on their way, looking to defend their U Sports crown. And Doug, I hate to put you on the spot. Do you recall the last time we had a back-to-back U Sports champion, and on the women's side?
Windsor
5 in a row.
Kira, holy
yeah.
Like Norm from Cheers, you answered that so quickly.
Yeah, it was Windsor 5 in a row, and before that, Simon Fraser, when they were still part of U Sports, well, CIS at that point, they won 2 in a row. So
5 in a row, because that was right before they won, I think. There came to an end while I was playing. I think my first year at Sask, they won their last one, and then that was the end of it. So because they beat Sask before I got there.
Yeah,
Donovan.
So 11-15. Sorry, just on that note, that was their last one, and also looking for the third straight win from OUA as Ryerson, now Toronto Metropolitan University, won back in 2022.
I want to provide a bit of an update. Donovan was helped off the floor. She's not on the bench, but the athletic therapists were able to get her off the floor. She couldn't put any weight on the left ankle. So we'll keep our eyes on her. The staff were able to get to her pretty quickly, and we'll do our best to update you before I go off the air. But, knock on wood, we were pretty fortunate in this tournament without seeing any serious injuries. And we kind of joke with the broadcaster's jinx. I hope that wasn't the case just now. Back underway here. 8 minutes remaining in the fourth. Welts for 3. Off the mark, and here come the Ravens. Burke. Foul called, and that's going to go against Kira Spencer. So we got a Kira on the floor. We have someone from Douglas. I don't think there's anyone named Mark on either team. Burke lobs it, but that is intercepted by Gaudette, looking like a defensive back. Gaudette goes coast to coast. Great job there by Urban. Just making herself as big as possible, and Gaudette just ran right into her.
Yeah, Urban does a good job just keeping her feet moving, slows Gaudette up.
Spencer. Welts. Back to Spencer for 3. And it'll be an air ball, so it'll be Ravens possession.
They've done a really nice job on Chadwick. I mean, there you see Urban getting some help from Duvnak as well. Duvnak just sort of hedging in, recognize she's got responsibilities out on the perimeter, but just hedging in, making sure that those entries into Chadwick are tough. And so that's forced Queens to, we saw that stretch in the second quarter where they were able to get the ball in her hands, but she didn't play a lot in the third quarter with those fouls, and now they're having a tough time again getting the ball into her hands.
Chadwick with the rebound. Still getting close for that double-double. She's got 9 rebounds. Gaudette called for the travel. As Gabrielle Francis will check in for the first time tonight for Carleton, so they're going deep in their bench. Well in control of this one, ahead by 32. Donato. Patiently waiting. Walks right into 2 Navy jerseys, and it is turned over, so Queens will regain possession as Bridget Mulholland inbound. Mulholland playing her second last game in her U Sports career. And usually I leave these to Doug, but Bridget Mulholland's getting her PhD in neuroscience.
Wow.
Yeah.
As you do as a student athlete,
Yeah,
you know, hey, why not?
casually.
I'm playing basketball all the time, I'm going to go and do this too. Yeah, pretty amazing what all of these athletes do. And I've told this story before, the first time I ever did a broadcast on a bus down to Lethbridge with the University of Alberta, and I didn't play at this level, so I didn't really know what to expect, but it was the quietest bus ride. Everybody was studying. Everyone had work to do. And Kira, you know this better than me. I mean, that's just part of it. Like, you know, talking to some of the coaches here, saying, "Hey, we got players with exams this week, so they're trying to get ready for the Final 8, doing exams, study." Like, it's the part of university sport that I think is people are aware of, but maybe really don't have a great understanding of actually what goes on and what all these athletes sacrifice and what they do to be great athletes, but also great in the classroom.
Yeah, it's a very delicate balance, and it's such a great learning experience, though, in time management and stress management and prioritization and all of those things too. But yeah, it's a difficult job.
And I think, I don't want to pile on what happens down south, but I think you hear about stories about in the NCAA how, especially in the football side, right, you hear stories of athletes not even going into class their entire 4 years there, and that's not the case here up north. There's so much work goes into it, just to be a kid, be 21, 22 years old, full-time student, full-time athlete can be a really tricky balance. So all the respect in the world for any of these student athletes, but a special nod of the cap to the PhD in neuroscience. We'll take a look at some highlights. We have 5:32 remaining in the fourth. Carleton leads by 30. And, you know, it was really good first quarter. Teams are going back and forth, but again, Carleton has just had Queen's number for the last couple years, and they are certainly flexing on them tonight.
Yeah, we said it off the top. It can go one of two ways. You get enough familiarity with a team that you just start to figure it out, and again, as you said, Kira, it's difficult to win and beat a good team. This is a good Queens team, a really good team. It's tough to beat them 2 or 3 times in a row, let alone 6, and we're 5:32 away from 7. And so it can go one of two ways, and it just sort of felt like Queens, good first 5-6 minutes, and then it just got away from them at the end of the first quarter, and they just never really found a way to get any rhythm back, especially at the offensive end. And again, that's where the flip side of that, where you face so much defeat against a team, it gets into your head. It's like, oh, here we go again. What's the answer? How do we get over this? And unfortunately for them, they just haven't found that answer here so far tonight.
Jacqueline Urban at the line. Urban, 3 points tonight. As We're well into the bench for both teams. Welts still directing traffic. Three-pointer here for Spencer. Off the mark. Looked like it was deflected. However, it's going to remain, excuse me, it will be Carleton ball.
Yeah, I thought there was a touch on that.
Looked like it.
With some of the numbers, when you kind of look through them, turnovers 21 committed by Queens, 10 by Carleton. Points off turnovers 20-2. You look at bench points, 13-6 in favor of Carleton. Points in the paint, 38-16 so far. Even fast break points, not a ton either way, but 9-2 in favor of Carleton. Steals 13-4 in favor of the Ravens. I mean, those are all numbers that add up to a 30-point type victory.
Well, the assists number still just amazes me. Only 7 assists from Carleton, which just goes to, it's just the one-on-one matchups.
Yeah.
It's just attacking one-on-one, downhill, and then plays like that, right? Getting a steal and then a layup in transition. It'll be an interesting matchup with Sask, who moves the ball so much and has so many assists. I think it's 16 or 17 maybe a game on average. So it'll be an interesting matchup. Yeah, 17, yeah.
Mulholland, her 3 off the mark. And I just want to make note, what a play by Tatiana Burke to get the steal and then still found the afterburners despite being late in the fourth quarter. This Carleton team is sending a message. Something about Carleton teams playing in this gym. The Ravens took home the men's national title 2 years ago right here. And the women's side will have a shot to do so tomorrow.
Well, a lot of connections between the women's and the men's programs at Carleton. Taffy Charles, head coach of the men, of course, former coach of the women. Dave Smart, former and longtime coach of the men, a big part of hiring Danny Sinclair to bring her to Carleton. Of course, Sinclair, the former coach of the UVic Vikes. Both these coaches actually with a connection to Canada West. Danny Sinclair played some of her basketball at Vic and then coached there. And then Claire Meadows, former head coach of the UBC Okanagan Heat.
Sierra Peck, Kwanku. Too strong, rebound collected there by Francis. Blocked, ends up in the hands of Rice. And there's a tie-up. It will be Queens possession with 3:14 remaining, 69-37. Queens with just 2 points in this fourth quarter. Now, Carleton with only 4 points in this fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, there's no way they have very many either. It's nice that they're getting, their bench and some of their younger players, but definitely not as clean.
Amy Hagman called for the travel. Great experience. I know we've chatted about it a couple times, but for both of these teams, this rivalry is not going anywhere, and these teams will be able to return the bulk of their roster. A couple fifth-year players on both sides, but something tell me these two teams are going to go at it no UA for years to come. Nice dish to Rice. And Kinley Rice with her first points.
Number 21, Kinley Rice.
Stolen by Kwanku.
She is long.
Listed at 5'10", but it looks like that's all in the limbs. She's
6'2" wingspan.
looks like it. As Barbieri fouls, and that's going to be her fourth. Just kind of looking at her bench like, what do you want me to do? Size mismatch. I'm trying out here.
That will send Oceane Kunku to the free throw line, 67%, native of Gatineau, Quebec. Second in the OUA, 8th in the country in three-point percentage. So again, we've talked the fact that they don't shoot a big volume of threes, but they shoot them well. And she's one of the best on this roster.
7 to go on the shot clock. Being watched by Hagman. She's got to force it up, out of bounds. And Queens Queens will regain possession with 2:08 left. Barbieri for three. Why not? That's a short. Hagman with the rebound. Smith's going to try a three. And the Ravens still paying with the pace. Miranda Navarro, first-year player. Rice in the paint, partially blocked. Ends up in the hands of Rennan, who calmly finds Smith. Hagman in the paint to Matty Boyd. Foul called against Kinley Rice, foul number 2.
The next few points scored by Queens this season, actually in a win in the preseason against Université de Québec à Montréal, where they scored 52 in a 52-31 win. So it has just been a grinding defensive effort by Carleton, but just a tough offensive night too. For the Gales, looks they did have, just were not able to knock them down.
Yeah, not a lot of clean looks. You know, even the ones that they get off, not a lot of them were with good timing, with good rhythm, kind of like we talked about earlier. It makes it tough.
Queens shooting 22.4% from the field with 24 turnovers.
That's tough.
And Carleton's able to feast off those turnovers, getting 25 points. Under a minute remaining in this semifinal. Carleton will extend their win streak over Queens to 7, including the OUA Championship, in which they won by 8, including the U Sports Championship, which they won last year. Carleton has had Queens' number. Miranda Navarro to the line.
She's a first-year player from Brentwood College out on Vancouver Island.
35 seconds remaining, 74-37. Smith. Three-pointer here for Rennan is good.
Nice, I like that they got in the 40s.
Three-pointer for the freshman. And about 2 seconds between the shot clock and the game clock. Navarro content just to dribble this out. Queens content just to let her do so. And the Carleton Ravens have a chance to repeat as U Sports gold medalists, as tomorrow they will take on the University of Saskatchewan Huskies for gold in a dominant effort, 74-40. It was all Carleton, and that was a clinic by the Ravens.
I mean, Queens on the opening tip, layup, maybe their easiest score of the night.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be mean. Almost that's the case. They just did not have easy looks all night. And Mark, I think that works perfectly. Like, it's a clinical, surgical performance tonight by Carleton. And like we've been saying, I mean, sometimes when you know a team well, there aren't a lot of wrinkles. I don't think there were a lot of wrinkles. I think just Carleton just ramped everything up tonight, and Queens just did not have that same level they could get to today. Not saying it wouldn't happen if they played again tomorrow, but today it was Queens' night, or it was Carleton's night.
Yeah, a tough night for Queens offensively. I mean, defensively too. You know, it's a pretty heavy spread when it comes down to it. But I mean, kudos to Carleton. They knew what they needed to do. They did it well, and they took hold of this game quite early and never really slowed down. Like you said, it was foot on the gas pedal the entire night. It felt like they were down 2 the entire time, and it's the tempo that they set, and they stuck to it the entire night.
So we'll have players of the game. It will be number 21, Julia Chadwick for Queens. She finished with a double-double, 14 points and 10 rebounds, 3 of those of the offensive variety. Tomorrow night at 5 o'clock Mountain Time, 7 o'clock out east, Laval will take on Queens for U Sports Bronze, and player of the game for Carleton is number 11, Kiana J. Poulin. 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists. Played just under 27 minutes for the Ravens, as her team will take on Saskatchewan at 7:30 Mountain Time, 9:30 out east for gold. Both games will be available on CBC Sports as the teams meet at center court, something they've done a lot of times recently. They shake hands. Frustrating result if you're a Queen supporter, but as you mentioned, a chance to bring home some hardware tomorrow. And we're going to be joined by Tatiana Burke from Carleton. Burke had a really efficient night, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 3 steals. She is going to sit down and join Doug and myself for a quick chat. We'll give her a second to get comfortable here. Well, congratulations on your team's victory. Dominant effort. First question, how does it feel to be playing for U Sports Gold tomorrow night?
Oh, amazing. It's such like a big opportunity that we've been working for since the very beginning. Obviously, we don't always want to think about it like at this moment, like, oh, we're going to go for gold. But our step was to like obviously destroy them. We played them multiple times, and Queens put up a good effort as they always do. So it feels, now that the effort has been shown, it feels spectacular.
You just mentioned it. You're very familiar with each other, these two teams. The other 3 games this season have been relatively close. What was the difference today that allowed you to just get the kind of spread you did, especially early?
Well, in some ways, it was kind of like, for us, like the last dance with this team. You know, we always, when we play them, it's always a fight. And I think for this game, we were just thinking, you know what? The fights, we need to end the fight early. We need to show why we're here. Obviously, we were ranked number 1, came in number 2, and, you know, ended up playing our rivals. And, you know, kudos to Queens, because honestly, Queens is not an easy team. Like, they are one of the toughest teams we've ever had to face. But to kind of have that final victory, it's kind of like the icing on the cake. So, yeah.
And how great was it? You know, not often in a semifinal do you get to get your bench so involved, but really some big minutes from really top to bottom, getting some of the younger players involved and getting a taste of playing on a national stage.
Well, the people who obviously don't play as much, they always give effort, and that was our goal, is play for them. That's always been our goal, and once they get the opportunity to play, we're just hyping them up as the same way they're hyping us up. So everyone did a great job, both the starters from the people who don't get as much minutes, but honestly, to see like those people succeed, it's like the most heartwarming feeling. So, yeah.
And last one for you, I mean, it seems like Carleton and Saskatchewan have been on a bit of a collision course to meet, and we get to see it tomorrow. What do you know about the Saskatchewan Huskies? What do you expect from them tomorrow?
They're a dominant team. They're well coached. Obviously, they've also been through this before. It's kind of in their basketball culture as well. But I'm expecting a good fight, honestly. There's obviously key players that we have to look out for, players that could honestly really hurt us if we don't watch out for them. But I'm expecting a good fight nonetheless. And we just have to come with effort. We have to come out with that like inner dog that we have. But yeah, it's going to be a game tomorrow. That's all I can say.
Well, congratulations on the victory. Your team has a chance to repeat as U Sport gold medal champions. Get some rest tonight. We'll see you back here in just under 24 hours.
Yeah, tonight I will see you both.
Congratulations.
Yep.
Tatiana Burke had 12 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 steals as her team. A dominating effort. They win 74-40. So I mentioned our bronze medal matchup tomorrow will be Laval versus Queens. That's going to be tip-off just after 5 o'clock here in Edmonton. And then Saskatchewan will take on Carleton, 1 versus 2 for gold at 7:30. Let's wrap things up with a quick preview of the gold medal matchup. We got to see all 4 teams tonight. Laval versus Queens. Laval, I'll say stunned, maybe that's too strong a word. Stunned Alberta in the first game. Kind of ran up against a really tough Saskatchewan team. Kira, what are you feeling in this Laval-Queens matchup tomorrow for bronze?
You know, it's really hard for me to say because I don't think that was a fair representation of Queens.
Yeah,
and because my exposure to them is quite limited and that's all I've really seen, I don't think that the team that I saw here tonight is going to be the team that shows up tomorrow. And I imagine that's kind of where their head's at as well. This one's over and we've got another one to play for some hardware. But that Laval team, tough, very tough offensively. They've got a lot of firepower. It'll be an interesting one. They're very different looking teams for sure. But yeah, it's hard to say just because I don't think I've seen Queens.
That's fair. That's fair. And Doug, you know, full marks to the individuals that put the rankings out. They hit the nail right on the head. We get 1 versus 2, Saskatchewan versus Carleton. This is, I don't want to say it's what we're expecting, but I'm really looking forward to this game tomorrow. 2 absolute juggernauts in Canada West, or in all of U Sports.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an outstanding matchup. Look, we've talked a lot about what Carleton does, especially the defensive end of the floor. We talked about the versatility of Saskatchewan. They can play lots of different ways. I think the interesting sort of game within the game is, can the patience and poise of Saskatchewan hold up against the frenetic, constant pressure of the Carleton Ravens? I think that is where this game is going to be won or lost tomorrow. Both good offensive teams, but I think that especially can Carleton just limit what Saskatchewan can do offensively. If they can, I think they'll win their second straight. If Saskatchewan can, again, remain really calm and poised despite all the mayhem in front of them, you might be seeing the team in green hoisting the bronze baby tomorrow.
We are in for quite the matchup. I mentioned the bronze medal matchup, Laval and Queens at 5 o'clock Mountain Time, 7 o'clock Eastern Time, and then at 9:30 Eastern, 7:30 local, Saskatchewan will take on Carleton. On behalf of our incredibly hardworking production staff here at the Laval Community Sports Center, and on behalf of my broadcast colleagues, Kira Lyons and Doug McLean, I'm Mark Majot. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Set your clocks an hour forward, although I think they kind of do it automatically now. So
yeah,
maybe
it's
just
easier.
Maybe just set your car one forward, but we'll be back tomorrow as wrapping up what's been a fantastic week of basketball here in Edmonton. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday night, everyone. We'll see you back here tomorrow for bronze and gold.